Hi everybody, it's Miss Veronica, and I wanted to give you guys a video. I know a lot of people have been out at different times, so this is going to be kind of a recap of what we've been doing since we got back from break, and some things for you to work on at home as well. So some of it, if you've been in school since break, some of it might be review, but we are going to go through it anyway just because people went home at different times or have been doing distant learning at different times. All right? So we're going to talk about an artwork, a type of artwork that's called surrealism. And surrealism is really interesting because, actually, while I'm talking about it, I'm going to give us some visuals here. All right, so surrealism is interesting. The way we've been talking about it in class is like it kind of is the type of painting that feels like a dream or looks like a dream. And the way to start kind of thinking about it is when you think about when you have had a dream before, a lot of times your dream can seem like it's pretty normal, but then if you think about it, something seemed out of place or something crazy. Maybe you started flying in your dream, like something unexpected happens. So generally speaking, sometimes we have dreams where everything is super realistic like our life, but a lot of times there's something that's out of place, there's something that's unexpected that happens in the dream. So that's one way to think about surrealism. If you were to take a whole room, make everything like it's totally normal, normal chair, normal table, everything's totally normal, and then you were to take something unexpected, make the scene be underwater or something like that. That's a good description for what surrealist art looks like. And I'm going to show you an example here. All right, so there we are, and we've got a room here. All right, and pretty normal, right? Could be maybe in a museum or even in somebody's house possibly. But then there's just a hyena in there. The rocking horse is kind of floating. All right, so that's what makes it surreal. It's like, something's unexpected here. Something's not quite like this is something I would come across in regular life. All right, so with surrealism, there's a couple different activities that we've been working on. One of them is to kind of get yourself into the headspace where you're going to be working on surrealism. So one way I like to do that is I have a paper and just a pencil, and I'm going to close my eyes, and I'm just going to think of a picture in my head. Now I'm just going to think of a flower, and then I'm going to picture it in my head. I'm going to put my pencil on my paper, and I'm going to start to draw my flower. And I'm just drawing it, and you know what? I don't know if you'll be able to see. I'm going to draw it out from my head, and it just kind of makes me quiet my mind a little bit. I can hear the pencil on the paper. I'm super aware of the way my pencil is moving. All right, I'm going to lift it up. I'm going to take a look. Not too bad. Sometimes I do good, sometimes not, sometimes not so much, all right? So you can do this type of exercise, and you can do it with a timer. Maybe put the timer on 1 minute or even a couple of minutes, and you could do a whole scene. And as it starts to play out, it brings your mind into a really cool space where it's just kind of thinking in a different way. And it also, sometimes when you're creating something, sometimes it starts to move out of place a little bit, right? So then the flower maybe starts to bend the different way, something like that, and then it starts to look like something surreal. So that's one exercise that's really fun to do, is drawing with your eyes closed. Another thing that I want to look at, and this is a really amazing book that Mr. Wright, actually, Parker Wright's dad, gave me this book, and it's really cool. There's another excerpt that I want to read from here. All right, surrealists put a paintbrush or a pencil in their hand and just start moving it without trying to draw anything in particular. They call it automatism, a very serious word for doodling. All right, so doodling, if you think about it, a lot of times doodling just seems like something that you're not even supposed to do, right, to doodle on your papers. But I actually wanted to talk to you about it because there are a lot of artists that create these types of images that kind of just look like a series of doodles. And this is a really well-known painting right here. All right, this is Harlequin's Carnival. And you can see, as you start to look through, you can start to point things out, notice what looks recognizable and what just looks abstract, like you can't tell what it is. And as your eyes start to kind of move around the page, It's really just a series of doodles all around the page. Super interesting. All right, and there's another example I want to show you of that. And this is a current artist. This artist is named Sam Cox, and he's actually in his mid-20s. And here's him working on his artwork. All right. And he works, on walls. He works on a variety of surfaces. And he creates wall-to-wall doodles. And then you can see here kind of the different surfaces that he works on. Super interesting. Lastly, I just want to show you a close-up on the actual images themselves, what they look like. And again, you can kind of make out the different characters in there. He said he was inspired a lot by kind of looking at different characters when he was young and trying to redraw the same character multiple times with different expressions. All right, so you can see all of his different doodles on there begin to create these larger images. So that's another way to get yourself into the surreal artist kind of headspace, is to work on some doodles and see if you can fill a whole page with it. Take your time. Maybe there's a theme to it, and maybe it's just random doodles, just random things that pop into your head, and you keep moving yourself all around the page. All right, so that's another way to get into surrealism. And there's one more thing about surrealism that I wanted to show you guys. There's kind of an artist that's the, I would say the most well-known surrealist artist. And I'll show you his picture and see, you might recognize him. I'll try to see if I can hold the, the name out of the picture. There we go. All right, so this is a surrealist artist, and his name is Salvador Dali. And he's a Spanish artist, and I'm going to show you one of his most well-known paintings as well. All right. And this painting is called The Persistence of Memory, and I'm pulling it up here. And it's definitely recognizable to me, but I'm not sure if it will be to you. All right, so when you look there, whoops, my lighting kind of changed a little bit. I'm going to back up and see if I can, there we go. So those kind of melted looking things right there, they're actually clocks. So when I look at this painting, it's really interesting. It makes me think of a lot of things. Maybe that we're running out of time, or maybe when you think back on memories, sometimes they're a little hazy. Sometimes you don't remember them super clearly, super crisp lines or something like that. But the cool thing about surrealism is you don't have to overthink it. He doesn't have to have a reason for why he wanted it to be like that way. He just maybe wanted it to be kind of a dreamy type image, and that's what came to his mind. So it's more, instead of thinking of some like super exact meaning to it, it's more just about kind of letting your brain get loose and let those maybe weird images you've seen in your dreams, that kind of stuff, come out onto your paper. So I'd love for you, if something from that talk resonated with you, I'd love for you to play with it a little bit while you're on break. This was kind of a fun start because when we get back into the classroom, we're going to be working on like shading and some technique things with like light and shadow and still life, where we're trying to really get into what we see in front of us. But this is a fun little kickoff for us to think about outside of that. Think about just our dreams and our thoughts. So I want to read to you a couple from this book, a couple other exercises that you could also take on. One of them is to just think of two objects that don't belong with one another and draw them fitting together. All right, and here's a little example, kind of our cartoony example. Here's an octopus getting into a shoe. So if you just think of two, maybe you really like drawing two things. I really like drawing eyes, and I really like drawing flowers. So maybe I try to put those together in some funny way, right? So two objects together. Another way to kind of think in the surrealist mind is to keep a piece of paper next to your bed. When you wake up, try to draw your dream before it fades away. All right, so you wake up, you got your paper right there. I notice I've been trying to do that actually, to just let myself remember before I actually get up and start thinking about the day. So if you have your paper right there before you have a chance to think too much about school and what you have ahead of you, if you draw it first thing, it's right there, and see what you come up with. That's another fun idea. The other idea is what we did already, what we had the example of, closing your eyes, try to draw for a minute, maybe longer, maybe set a timer for yourself and see what you come up with. All right, and so that's what I'm going to leave you with for right now. If you have any questions or if you want to show me anything, I would love it. I'm going to leave my email, as always, in the caption for the video. All right, and I hope you guys are having fun. If you are looking for more to do, or if you want to just kind of get feedback from me while you guys are on break on sketches you're working on or anything you're working on, I would love to help you out with that. All right, thank you guys. I'll see you back on campus here soon. Bye-bye.